Not sure I can answer that question right now.
That's okay. We'll just keep going.
Sorry, Senator, I cannot answer that question. Well, thank you for the question, Senator. I'm not a pilot. So again, Senator, I'm not a pilot. I don't want to guess on that, Senator.
Now, you've been nominated to lead an agency with authority to regulate aircraft, airspace, and airmen. The U.S. has some of the most complex airspace in the world. I mean, we've got over 200,000 registered aircraft, more than 1 million pilots in our country, and over 45,000 flights per day handled by ATC. Now, with recent issues under the Biden administration, from the flight disruptions over Christmas, the NOTAM or the Notice to Air Missions ground stop, and the recent near miss incidents in New York, Texas, and just yesterday in Boston, my colleagues and I were concerned about the many or several parts of your background and your lack of aviation experience. Now, there's many new regulations that the FAA has issued or is in process of developing. Here's one, for instance. The FAA is spending billions of dollars on its next-gen program, as you're aware, to modernize the national airspace system. A key part of this update is moving towards GPS navigation for pilots and ATC. Now, as part of this transition, the FAA recently required airplanes to be equipped with an ADS-B transponder. So, Mr. Washington, can you quickly tell me what airspace requires an ADS-B transponder? Quickly, please.
Thank you for the question, Senator. Not sure I can answer that question right now.
That's okay. We'll just keep going. So that's a pretty important part. Mm-hmm. But another question. You've said that your national security background, and again, I appreciate your military experience there, but you say that's prepared you for this role. It's okay. The FAA has classified airspace to meet the needs of airports, air traffic, and also national security. The FAA has also designated special use airspace over DoD bases critical to national security. So what are the 6 types of special use airspace that protect this national security that appear on FAA charts? Quickly, please.
Sorry, Senator, I cannot answer that question.
Okay, we'll just keep going. So thank you.
Sure.
Since World War II, the FAA has required pilots to have a valid medical certificate. I've got one. In recent years, the FAA has relaxed these standards through the introduction of the Sport Pilot Certificate and also Basic Med. It's been a great success. More than 70,000 pilots in the last 6 years have used Basic Med to maintain their flying privileges. So what are the limits? It comes with some limitations. So what are the operational limitations of a pilot flying under Basic Med?
Well, thank you for the question, Senator. I'm not a pilot, so...
But obviously you'd oversee the Federal Aviation Administration. So any idea what those restrictions are under Basic Med, quickly?
Well, some of the restrictions, I think, would be high blood pressure. Some of them would be...
It's more like how many passengers per airplane, how many pounds in different categories, and what altitude you can fly under. So, and then amount of knots. It's under 250 knots. So it's not having anything to do with blood pressure. So let's keep going here. Aviation. I've heard you talk about aviation and safety and it being a particular concern of yours. I appreciate that. Stall spin accidents are a particular concern for general aviation safety advocates. Accidents involving an unintentional stall account for nearly 25% of fatal aviation accidents. And these happen at spins at low speed and low altitude, and they're particularly dangerous. Can you tell me what causes an aircraft to spin or to stall?
Again, Senator, I'm not a pilot, but I would lean on our career employees and our safety folks within the FAA.
Okay, let's keep going. So we mentioned just recently, the senator before me mentioned the 737 MAX issues. So there are many questions surrounding the FAA's aircraft certification process. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, Congress passed a major reform package to address these concerns. It's now up to FAA to implement these laws by issuing regulations and monitoring compliance. Mr. Washington, what are the 3 aircraft certifications the FAA requires as part of the manufacturing process? Quickly, please. 3 aircraft certifications.
Again, what I would say to that is that one of my first priorities would be to fully implement that Certification Act and report.
You know
back
the
to
three
this
types,
committee.
Mr. Washington? The three
No.
types? Okay. Yeah, that's type certificate, production certificate, and airworthiness certificate. Okay. All right. Let's just keep going, see if we can get lucky here. All right. So just since January, the U.S. has narrowly averted 3 aviation disasters. On 3 separate occasions, airplanes came dangerously close to colliding on runways at New York JFK, Austin Bergstrom, and the Boston Logan Airport. The Austin incident reminded me of the Tenerife accident, which is the deadliest aviation accident in history. Both the incident at Tenerife and Austin involved 2 planes on a runway in dense fog. The FAA's ATC procedures manual has separation standards. Now, I know you run a big airport, so you should probably know this one here. It's got separation standards for planes using the same runway. So can you tell me what the minimum separation distance is for landing and departing airliners during the daytime, Mr. Washington?
I don't want to guess on that, Senator,
Okay.
but
All right.
it would be easy for me to find out.
Thank you. You know, the FAA is woefully behind on integrating unmanned aircraft standards, but are you familiar with the difference between Part 107 and Part 44809 when it comes to unmanned aerial standards? Unmanned like drones, are you familiar with the difference?
Yes.
Okay, you know the difference between those two, Part 44809 and Part 107? Do you know the difference there?
No, I cannot
That's okay.
spell that out for you.
Senator's time is.
Yeah, thank you. You know, the FAA can't afford to be led by someone who needs on-the-job training, and for that reason, I'm going to be opposing your nomination.